New York City just elected the racist, America-hating, somehow trans the kids supporting while simultaneously Islamic terrorist supporting communist Zohran Mamdani. And during his victory speech, he immediately confirmed everyone's trepidations about him by turning up the radical rhetoric to the max. He says the government should control everything, America belongs to immigrants, Muslims are victims and deserve justice, that hardworking people deserve to have their money and property confiscated by the government, and the America that we all knew is history, and with his election, a new America has been born. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you watch till the end because I have this hilarious clip of somebody trolling the end of Zohran's speech, hacking the screen and putting a Trump is president sign on it, and the crowd starts booing. But first, let's start with Zohran saying that the city of New York in America belongs to immigrants, not Americans.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
His word choice was specific, direct, and intentional. He is giving us a clear lens into his mind, into his way of thinking. He believes that somebody like him, who has lived in the country since they were 9 years old, who is now 34, someone who has been a citizen for 7 years, still does not consider himself an American, but an immigrant. He sees himself as a Ugandan living in America, not somebody who immigrated from Uganda to America to be an American, to be a part of the American fabric, but to move here, take advantage of the country economically, import his culture, and reject assimilation. You have to understand, some people come here and they see the prosperity, they see the freedom, they see the safety, they see the comfortability, and they hate it. They want to burn it all down. They want us to choke on the ashes of our tradition. Because the American way of life, one that preserves and emboldens individuality, liberty, freedom, one with no strict class structure, but one that promotes upward mobility, has led to the most prosperous civilization in human history. And they disdain it because it contradicts their belief in theocracy, in authoritarianism, in total government control, where the people are mere property or pawns of the government, where we're nothing more than subjects. They believe strict, oppressive government control can lead to a flourishing society like ours, but it can't. So they import their destructive values here, thinking maybe it can work in a place that's already prosperous, that has a head start. And our rejection of that little test project isn't speculative. Venezuela was once the richest country in South America. Now it is dirt poor because of the same policies they want to implement here. And so the final act of the spiteful immigrant like Zohran Mamdani is if they can't turn their country into the United States, well then they'll just turn the United States into their country. Listen to this Muslim man explain why people like Ilhan Omar and Zohran Mamdani weaponize the white guilt of the left to implement their destructive agenda.
Extremist, Islamist, fundamentalist, I would only vote left.
Why is that?
I saw them as very stupid. I would fear the conservatives because they come with principle. That's not someone they can brainwash. But the left, I know they have no values and no principles to begin with. I dare you to find one Islamic extremist that votes for Donald Trump. Never do it. They'd give their vote to the leftist who wants to run around in pride parades. And Islamic extremists are against gays and homosexuals and transgenders, but they want the left to go and get busy with that. They want them, go speak about the climate, go speak about abortion, go kill yourselves, go do that. And Omar, she's fighting for abortion rights and all the other, my body, my choice. Yes, go do that. But would she have an abortion? Never. Never. Would she kill a Muslim in her stomach? Never.
What is the fundamentalist and jihadi agenda for America?
The future of America has to be Muslim.
The left's radical progressivism has driven them to hate everything that makes America America, because they've adopted the Marxist belief that Zohran Mamdani shares, that the world is nothing more than oppressors and oppressed. And America is at the top of the oppressor hierarchy, and the most corrupt, most dangerous, most backward countries are at the bottom of the oppressed category. So instinctively, they must support those people. If they're at the bottom, that means they're oppressed. Not because there's anything wrong with their ideas, not because their governments continuously are corrupt, not because they have backward, violent, extremist cultures. And so from the progressive left, that person deserves endless sympathy, endless acceptance, endless tolerance. And above all, they should not be required to assimilate into our culture, because our culture is the most vile, evil, oppressive culture that exists. That's why they overwhelmingly support a candidate like Zohran Mamdani. Because one, they hate the same enemy, Western civilization, or two, they completely ignore the history of his destructive ideas, because their mandate to be inclusive and tolerance supersedes their common sense and rational thought. But Zohran continues and thanks all of the third world immigrants who voted for him and refuses to acknowledge any Americans.
Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties.
He refuses to acknowledge these people who voted in an American election, if I might add, as Americans, because to do so would be to encourage cultural and societal unity. But he doesn't want that. That's not his plan. His plan is division. His plan is to constantly remind these people that they are not part of the system. They are a broader coalition of people from across the world who are here to topple the system. They want to live in America, but they don't want to be American. Again, his word choice was very intentional. He is saying New York belongs to the people that live there, and the people that live there are just Senegalese and Uzbeks. And we know the Democrat Party conveniently conflates legal and illegal immigration. So when you package it all up with a nice little bow, he's saying this place does not belong to the American people. This place belongs to the random people of the world who come from outside America's borders. And that's why they're also willing to adopt and implement beliefs and policies that are completely antithetical to what we believe in America. And to do that to the biggest city in the country, the capitalist center of the world, it's intentional, it's symbolic. And this is where he just turns the radical up to the max and says the government should be in charge of literally everything.
Where the more than 1 million Muslims know that they belong. Not just in the 5 boroughs of this city, but in the halls of power. No more will New York be a city where you can traffic in Islamophobia and win an election. This new age will be defined by a competence and a compassion that have too long been placed at odds with one another. We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about.
When people believe the government should be in charge of every problem, big or small, it strips individuals of their liberty. It strips people of the freedom of being able to provide for themselves, work hard, and change their lives for the better. Our system empowers people to solve problems. And when you solve problems that benefit the public, people are voluntarily willing to give you their money for what you do. It creates a system that encourages more people to be in the business of problem solving. And the environment of competition means that the most competent competent and effective people at solving that problem will rise to the top. The problem with expecting government to solve all the problems is, number one, there are far too many problems. And number two, because there's no competition, there's no incentive structure for the government to improve the quality of what it offers you. And I have to believe that most leftists who brag about how college educated they are, how smart and intelligent they are, understand these basic market economic principles. It's just that their hatred for the system and blind devotion for cultural Marxism has to drive everything they do and believe in. American capitalism single-handedly lifted the world out of poverty. That's not a MAGA conspiracy theory. And yet they want to replace it with a system that has led to poverty and destitute everywhere it's been implemented. It's because they don't expect it to work here. They hope that it creates the same result it creates in North Korea, Venezuela. But here's Scott Jennings on CNN reacting to Zohran's victory speech and saying it was creepy.
Scott?
Oh, are you saying he wasn't the unifying voice of a generation that you predicted mere moments ago? Axe, where was the man that you predicted would not slice and dice the... Look, guys, he started his speech by quoting Eugene Debs, who ran for president of the United States 5 times as the Socialist Party of America candidate. He repeatedly attacked people in
Google,
this. No, I know my socialists. I keep a close eye on them.
Yeah,
I work here. So here's the thing. He went after everybody that he thinks is a problem. People who own things, people who have businesses. He said an interesting quote: "No problem too large for government to solve."
Or too small, important.
And so when you think of the world that way, that every problem, no matter how small or how large, is something for government to do, let me just decipher this for you. Tax increases as far as the eye can see, which means the people who need to provide jobs to the young people that you say need jobs are going to flee as quickly as they possibly can. I think this was a divisive speech, and he clearly sees the world in terms of the people who are oppressing you and the oppressed, and he said the oppressed are now in City Hall.
I've seen people say, what does Zohran being a Muslim have to do with anything? The bad part is he's a socialist. And I think a lot of people are confused because they're foregoing common sense. Him being a Muslim while advocating for policies that lead to destruction and poverty everywhere they're implemented is concerning. Him being a Muslim and not being able to denounce Hamas as terrorists is concerning. Him being a Muslim and saying the real victim of 9/11 was his auntie who got funny looks is concerning. Him being a Muslim and taking a picture gleefully with a World Trade Center bomber who advocates for jihad through violence and political infiltration is concerning. We know that there is a non-insignificant portion of Muslims who are radical and violent and want to see the destruction of the West. And we're always told, well, that's not all Muslims, and okay, fine, we're not saying it is. But what we're saying is Zohran Mamdani most certainly is. If you see yourself as an immigrant and not an American after living here for 25 years, claiming New York City is your home, then why are you even running for mayor? If you consider yourself a foreigner in this land, even though you're not, it kind of makes it feel like what you're doing is in bad faith and pretty nefarious. You've seen the Hamas protests in the streets all across America. They took over college campuses. They are weaponizing freedom of speech to spread a destructive anti-American mind virus into our youth. They are weaponizing freedom of religion to spread an extremist and violent form of Islam throughout our country, and then run and hide behind Islamophobia whenever we call it out. We've seen what's happened in the UK. Is it too much as Americans to ask the immigrants that come here to actually appreciate America, to love America, to want to be an American if you're going to live here? Because why else are you here? And how else can you expect us to interpret your presence other than concerted infiltration? But the last thing I'm going to show you, and hopefully this makes you guys chuckle, is after Zohran was finished giving his speech, someone hacked the screen that was behind him and put up a funny "Trump is still your president" picture, and the crowd hates it. Take a look. I think the fight right now and the defining fight of our time is going to be nationalism versus communism. The left claims they're fighting for America. They're preserving democracy. They're defending the Constitution. But they are lying. They absolutely hate these things. They are the party that serves illegal immigrants. They are the party trying to sterilize and mutilate children, indoctrinate them in a destructive, perverse ideology. They'll claim they're the inclusive, tolerant ones, that they love diversity, yet they are hell-bent on stoking racial division, creating chaos, and preventing unity. They hate American values. They hate American history. They believe America is so systemically tainted and evil, it needs to be destroyed and reconstructed from the ground up. And in the ashes of the greatest civilization the earth has ever seen, they are trying to install authoritarian socialism, the very same ideology we spent 80 years fighting after World War II. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.